wherever I start, you know, and that's why I wanted to, I wanted to, I wanted I wanted to complete secondary school and get my education and get my good grades. And after getting that crucial information from Coach Joe, who was the assistant coach at that time for U15, I took things serious. And for people who coming into college in the US, you know, you when you come over here, you have to learn to balance your grade, your academics with your athletics. So you got to perform on and off the field, and that's something you got to take very seriously because you could get stuff like a scholarship could be pulled from you and stuff along those lines, and you don't want that to happen down the road. Um, Other stuff so that you may want to know about when you're going into the college realm, that you will have to go through the clearing houses here. It has different systems here. It has the NCAA system, and it has the NAIA system, and also the junior college system that a lot of people try to apply for. They all have different requirements when you are coming into the US. So, for instance, I I had to apply for the NCAA clearinghouse, right? And that point in time, I didn't know much about the NCAA clearinghouse. So I went to ask questions to like my national teammates that who been there in the situation, who was in college, who went through the processing, and they basically told me to state like whatever question they asked me, answer it truthfully on there. And they ask for stuff like a transcripts. This is why grades is crucial from when you're coming in from high school. If you don't get good grades, you wouldn't meet the requirements for some of these things. So for instance, NCAA, they require you to get a 2.7 GPA to be clear. That's one of the requirements by them. So in my case, I was short by, let's say, 0.04, you know, and the reason being is certain things like you need 5 core courses to enter the NCAA system. For instance, you need a math, science, English, a language, and you need a social science. So what I was lacking was in a science. I did a bunch of business subjects when I was doing my final year in high school, my senior year, and I did not do any sciences. So what I fall short in my GPA is because I didn't do any sciences and I was missing one of the requirements there. So I was partially cleared by the NCAA Division I system, where schools were recruiting me from Division I schools, but I wasn't able to get into their programs because I was just fell short of my GPA. So what ended up happening for me is one of the schools, Division I schools that wanted me in their program, they told me they have a school close by they would like me to go to, and it was an NAIA school, which is William Carey University. And I went there, and they say that they would vie for me after I finish a year at the NAIA school. So I went to the NAIA school. I didn't just do the year, I ended up doing 2 years. This NAIA school, William Carey University, is like top 10 in the US in the women's soccer in NAIA. So I stayed there extra year because I knew that it was a great school and they had a great program and everything was going well there. And what I ended up doing eventually is I said I wanted to leave, and I had talks with the coaches, and I ended up getting released. And this is where I wanted to go and play a little high. I wanted to play in Division I NCAA. And my information was already in the portal. I had good grades. I kept good grades while I was in William Carey. And so I was able to transfer over into Division I school. So the crucial thing you got to know when you go into the college system within the US is you got to be able to keep your grades up, and you got to be able to perform on the field as well. So you got to start from early. You got to learn to do that while you're in high school. And even if you could from earlier, do it as well. You got to get support system. You got to have your family help you. You got to have even your like people around you, like your coaches, like ask questions. This is another thing. You need to ask questions. You need to ask a lot of questions. So for me, I just went because my teammates on the national team, they knew a lot of information. I went to them and I asked them. If you don't ask the question, you will not know the answer. So what you barely have knowledge in, somebody else may have the knowledge in it, and you need to go and ask a lot of questions on it. But for instance, I knew one of my teammates came over here and they told her she was on a full scholarship, okay? And this is where you need to learn a lot now. You on a full scholarship, they told you on a full scholarship, find out details about your full scholarship. So what does it cover? You need to find out stuff like, does it cover tuition? Does it cover room and board? Does it cover my insurance? And some schools will cover insurance and some wouldn't on a full. So ask the crucial question, does the full scholarship cover insurance for me? If they said no, ask is there a way you can, you gotta ask these questions because health insurance over here is not something you want to get stuck into, like paying on your own, because it's a good bit of money to pay for on your own. So ask these schools these crucial questions, and if they said they offer you a partial, you got to go and still ask, okay, what does the partial cover? Does it cover my tuition only? Do I have to pay room and board for my books? Those crucial questions you got to go ahead and ask. You understand me? And for me, when I was coming out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't even think of college as an option, And sometimes, like, it's not for everyone. But if you really want to do it, you got to find out information from early. You understand me? If you don't find out information from early, you will get stuck. You will get a lot of problems. So that's how it was kind of a smooth flowing process for me, because I found out information before I got over here about what goes on when I come over here. So you got to find out all these crucial information early. And another thing I think a lot of people need to do is, like, when you're talking to coaches, be straightforward. Be like, if the coach asks you, could you afford, could you afford this? And you can't say, no, I can't afford it. Like, be straight up and let the coach know. And if you are talking to, like, let's say you're talking to more than one schools, like, a coach asks you, are you talking to other schools? Let them know, yes, I'm talking to other schools. What this also does to you is it makes the coach kind of go into a bidding kind of war for you if you don't realize it, because you tell the coach, yeah, more than one school vying for me, and he goes, okay, what are they offering you? He might even up your offer for you. You understand me? From what he had prior for you. So let the coaches know, or put it all out on the plate. Don't just give coaches half of the information. Let them know, be honest, and let the coaches know. Sometimes the coaches have a change of heart. Sometimes they probably stick with it, and then if they don't want you, you would know. You could go on your other options and the other choices that you have, and you could go ahead and try to get into one of their programs, because they probably will push for you more. They're more willing to want you in their program.
Naomi, that I have. Could you reiterate the point where you spoke about maintaining your grade in order to maintain your scholarship, and how important that is?
Okay. So the different systems have like a level you have to stay at in order to play. So for instance, NCAA, I think you have to maintain at least a 2.3 to stay on the field, okay? To stay on the field and play. But in order to do that, you got to go to classes, and you got to be serious about what you're doing, right? But you're not just trying to stay on the field. You're trying to succeed within the school too. So you don't just want to be baseline for what they want. You want to achieve more than that. And for some people, some people come over here and they get two scholarships. They get scholarship academically and they got scholarships for athletics. So what they do is some people have to keep up their grades to receive the academics, and also to and in order to keep your athletics, you gotta balance the both, you know. And in retrospect, those two combined could help you, you know, whether it be after you finish school, and you want to like get a job. Let's say you don't want to continue playing soccer, you just want to get a job. Keeping up your grades could help that. And let's say you want to play after, even if you want to play after, you got to keep up your performance on the field. And in order to keep the performance on the field, you got to keep it in classroom as well.
Okay, we have a question here. What are some of the other challenges besides balancing grades and sharpness?
Okay, what are some of the challenges? Balancing grades and sharpness. Okay, some challenges you face is time management is one of them. I got that when I reached here. So when you come over here, you are on your own. You don't have no parents guiding you. You don't have none of that. What you gotta do is you gotta be focused, because if you aren't, you wanna lose track of everything. So what I usually do is I make time for when I have training in the morning. Let's say I have training for 2 hours in the morning. I have class right after. I make some time for homework sometimes during the day or at night. Or if I want to get an extra workout in, I go get my workout in the evening and then go do some schoolwork. So in order to keep sharp in school and on the field, you got to do it in class and outside the class, and on the field and off the field. So you got to do it both ways. You understand me? Because you're coaching 20-something people. Let's just divide that by time. You understand me? Like you have 60, let's say you have an hour and a half practice. You divide all those players into an hour and a half. He barely has time for you. So you got to go on your own, and you got to press, and you got to keep sharp in that aspect.
Okay, you spoke about not having your parents there and that being a challenge. Coming off of that, one of the questions posted is, what are some of the cultural challenges, food, family, etc., that you experienced?
So some of it is I'm guessing food, because usually when you come from Trinidad and Tobago, you usually get home cooked meals and stuff like that. And here you will have to like probably go to a cafeteria, or if you have an apartment, you got to cook for yourself. You know, the food quite differs from at home, and in some cases, like I started off living in a dorm, so I had to go to the cafeteria, and it was a lot of pizza and macaroni and cheese and those stuff. But what you got to do is you got to remember your goal. You got to be having nutrition right as well. You got to be have your body right for when you play. So in order to do that, I guess you got to go for the healthier options and stuff like that. And you got to try to maintain your focus. And in another case, I had an apartment when I went to my other school, and I got to cook for myself and stuff like that. So I would cook my normal dishes I am accustomed to, like rice and peas and stuff like that. So depending on the situation, it will be a culture shock for you. Let's say you have an apartment, you could cook stuff on your own. And if you don't, then you will just have to assimilate, I guess, with the American culture and try to maintain your nutritional habits and have it be healthy.
Another question. What does a full scholarship cover?
It just depends on what it means to be like a school. So in some cases, I'm guessing a full scholarship covers like everything that, like it covers your tuition, books, your board, your room and board, and all those sorts of stuff. And in some cases, it does cover insurance, and in some cases, it doesn't. That's why you have to ask your coach, what does it cover? Like you need to ask that question to your coaches when you do get into that situation or whatever, like that, those tough questions he doesn't want to ask, you need to ask it. Be right out with it.
Um, there are a lot of questions coming in. Hold on. Which state did Miss Guerra play for? And was it lonely or difficult to adjust to the cultural changes? I think you just spoke to that question, so you would have answered that question.
Well, yeah, I did. But in terms of which state I played in Mississippi and Ohio. So before I came over here, I was a little skeptical to go to Mississippi, and I straight right out asked the coach, "Does it have racism over here, like in that area?" And he told me, in the situation I'll be in, I'll be the most comfortable because the people there are like diverse in terms of wanting to have me like on the team and all that. So I played in Mississippi and Ohio, but I was skeptical at first of going to Mississippi, but I got comfortable in that sense after asking the coach about it, and he told me that would be okay.
Besides balancing your schoolwork and football, what are some of the things that a coach would look for in a player?
Some coaches look for leadership qualities. You know, when I was at William Carey University, they had an award they used to give out. I think it's called Champions of Character or something like that. Like coaches look for those underlying characteristics that you could actually like if you playing and you're able to talk and you're able to do those kind of things and you're able to uplift people, those subtle little things, coaches look for those things as well when you are coming into college. So it's not just your skill and all that. You got to have the whole package, you know, mentally, being mentally tough and all that. Coaches look for that. You got to be resilient. Coaches like those kind of stuff, those underlying qualities.
What's the GPA average you have to maintain at an NAI college or a junior college?
From what I can remember, I think majority of them is like a 2.3 to, I think it's 2.3 or 2.5, one out of the two, but I'm not sure. But if you want to find out this kind of information, you could go to the you could go to NAIA websites, you could go to the junior college websites, and you could find out this information. Or you could speak to people who went to these schools and see if their compliance department could, you know, tell you, give you a bit of information. So you can find out the information for that in a lot of places, you know.
Coming from the Caribbean, what are the challenges you face regarding the color of your skin, texture of your hair? Did you encounter any racism?
I subtly got a bit of it. I think one time I was playing, and it was Tennessee, and someone shouted. They looked me up on the roster. I think they do this a lot. They looked me up on the roster and they were like, Kenman Jones. I was like, what? I was so lost. I was like, that's all you got for me, yo. And then and another time I was playing somewhere else in the South and someone said something subtle. But what you gotta do, you just gotta ignore it and keep playing, because they try to distract you, throw you off your game because they know you're good enough.
Exactly, that's why they're trying to throw you off your game. Having said what you said about food, do the student athletes eat meals that are specially prepared for them by a nutritionist?
You see, this depends on your program, like your school program and stuff like that. So usually big schools, like top schools, do these kind of stuff. But like the smaller schools, you would see like you gotta prepare it yourself, or you gotta go to the cafeteria and search for healthy options. And that's if you get any healthy options, like, because it normally is up to you as the individual. From my experience, it's up to you as the individual to maintain good nutritional habits.
Outside of team training, how many hours do you tend to put in yourself?
Okay, so outside of team training, I typically would probably get a couple hours in. I'd probably go to the gym on my own, or go to the field and do some ball work or get in a workout.
An earlier question that came from someone. How did you improve your grades? Because school is hard sometimes.
I I took it upon myself to go and sit in front of the class. I
That
I
effort.
yeah, I used to sit in the back, and I used to be like one of the, you call it a class clown, and I used to be the one talking, and then I realized no. After I had that talk with my under 15 assistant coach, Coach Joe, I realized I need to, this is not it. I got to up my grades, and I sat in front of the class ever since. Even when I came to college, in front of the class, everywhere I sat in front of the class because it keeps your attention. You might think, no. And what I also, another thing I did was I went and hung out with everybody people call nerds. I went and hung out with everyone who did the work. I would, if they do an extra work, I would go by them and nag them. That's what I did. So if you want to up your grades, go hang out with those sorts of people.
Yeah, that's students. We have a fan, Peter Pierre. I don't know if you know him from the past.
Oh,
He's just saying hi.
he was my coach. Hi.
Oh, he's saying hi. Nice to see you here.
Oh, that's my coach. He coached me at zonals when I was in Trinidad for the under 15 national team program. That was my coach.
Nice. He actually posted another question. Did you encounter any issues with lesbianism at any time in your university career? And if so, how did you deal with it? And especially, how was it dealt with at the technical staff level?
Oh, okay. So I guess people judge you a lot, and I actually did a class based on this. People would look at you as a soccer player, and they would just, I guess, put a stigma on you that you gay. Like that's what they would put on you. And I realized that it's not just in soccer or anything, is in just in life in general. Because one time I went to the airport, and you know, you're cold and you're going into the airport. I got on a baggy, like my clothes was baggy and I was feeling cold. Like, so I had on baggy clothes, and the person misinterpret what I was. So I was like, I'm a girl, you know. And I've been faced with it a lot. Like, people judge me just based on how I look.
Yeah.
I'm a soccer player. I always wear shorts. I always wear baggy clothes. And how they deal with it, nobody deals with it. You just gotta face it. Like, if they want to judge you based on how you look, you just, okay, go ahead and judge me. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's quite uncertain. So when I was in Ohio, it was quite subtle there. And like, team members wouldn't want to be like, I am gay or something like that. But when I was in Mississippi, people were comfortable saying if they're gay or whatever the case may be. And it's because I was on a team with international people on it, and a bunch of international people. And when I went across to Ohio, it had a bunch of people from the US on it, and I was in a suburban area, so it was a lot more subtle than, I guess, typically.
Another question here. What do you think is a good SAT score? And what was your SAT score? How was it for you? How was SAT for you? The person didn't ask what was your score, but how was
SATs? When I did SATs, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do SATs because a lot of junior colleges was like vying for me as well, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. But when I went and I did it, I had to go to lessons and stuff like that. And for different schools ask for different scores. So one of the schools that wanted me just told me to get just average, you know, like basically just half score. If you get half of the score, that was all right for them, you know. And I did get just average. I got, it's out of, how much was out of? I think it's out of 1,600. Am I mistaken? It's out of 1,600 is SATs, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, it's out of 1,600. So I think I got like 800 and something. So SATs is like, you gotta be prepared. But when I went to do it, I had a short span of time to be prepared. I tried to go to lessons for like a month or two, and I went on and did the exam from there. But it was quite tough for me because I'm not like a fast reader or anything like that, but I got through it.
I got raised. Um, if you're unable to provide footage of you playing, will it be harder for you to be selected for a team?
It would be quite difficult, yeah. Unless you have like a really, really good resume still. But even though that doesn't help you, because prior to me coming over here, all the coaches asked for footage. Every one of them. They didn't even take into consideration that I play with the national team. They just wanted footage. One of the coaches even drove from, so I came over to the US with the national team for the Olympic CONCACAF qualifiers. It
Right.
was in Houston. And one of the coaches who wanted me to come to his school, the school was in Mississippi. He drove from Mississippi to Houston to see me practice, just to see something of me, because I didn't have no footage or anything like that. So they want to see some sort of evidence that you could play and that you was the right fit for their team.
In our first part of the series, we actually had somebody speaking on that, and he mentioned it for the just a piece of information for Mr. Lewis who's asking. He mentioned if you can get recommendations from your coaches, or just go take video footage of you doing skill playing or those kind of things. That I mean, you could start building from there. What do you think?
Um, what coaches look for is game footage. Typically, it's game footage. So they don't want to see that you could train, and they know you're supposed to be training. One, they want to see you playing. They want to see you actually engaging in a game or doing something, a game, like even if you could get footage of you in practice playing, that probably should be sufficient. But what you need to know is, you need to, when you make a highlight video, the coaches need to know who you are. You need to highlight yourself. You need to put something around you, and like some kind of like arrow or something that they could see it's you. Because I know a lot of people make highlight videos and the coaches don't know who they are. They just send the video and they send it playing, like the coach is supposed to automatically know who you are. No, you need to put some kind of stuff that the coach could like single you out. Even if it's a light on you or something, like a quick flash on you or pause and you put a circle, anything like that. You could get a videographer or someone to make a video for you. I actually was my one of my coaches who I knew from younger, Mark Anthony. He's like he has a program called Top Notch. He has actually have a printout of how to make a highlight video. So if you all want that information, you could get that from him as well. I think his page on Instagram is Top Notch. He has information about how to make a highlight video and like what you need to do.
We have another question coming in here. If you're a citizen of the US, how different will the process be to get a scholarship, or does it affect the process in any way?
Or I think it's quite different from somebody who international, because firstly we have to get a bunch of documents to be sent to us in order to even come over to the United States. You got to go get your visa and all that. Someone who is in the US and they're trying to get into college, they probably might go to ID camp. They could be seen by the coaches firsthand, while you have to send a video and all those kind of stuff, and even you have to get something called an I-20 document firstly before you even come to the United States, and that helps you to go to get a visa. That states what money is allotted to you and all that from your scholarship and what you're getting, and then you have to give extra evidence to the embassy that you could cover the external expenses like flight, or you could personal items. Let's say you want a full, you still need to give them evidence that you could afford a flight, and you could even you have money just in case anything happens.
What does a full scholarship entail compared to a partial scholarship? Partial scholarship. Can you tell us some
Okay.
differences between the two?
So usually a full scholarship covers all the costs, right? Like for instance, when you go to university, you have tuition, you have board, and I think you have like your books and all those elements that consist of like that's different elements of what you have to pay for to go into a university, right? And food and all those stuff. You understand me? But a full scholarship typically covers all of those. Sometimes they may cover your insurance and sometimes they may not. That's why you have to ask the school about that, like your coach or whoever you're speaking with, you know. And for partial, sometimes they'll say, okay, I will pay your tuition, but you got to figure out where you sleep in, like rent. You got to figure out how you get your books, or you got to figure out that just depends on that's sometimes how it goes. Like partial is just a piece of all those elements, and full probably is like supposedly all those elements.
Okay, guys, any more questions to the viewers? We have her here with us now, so let's get the questions in. Anything else that you all are interested in hearing or knowing about, please post your questions in the chat and we will ask Ms. Guerra.
What?
I think we covered most of the questions that were posted. So if you have any other details that you would like to share with them, please feel free to share it at this
Okay.
moment.
What's I think people. What's the best drill?
What's the best, a question that just came in, what's the best drill for speed and accuracy?
um. Well, I typically just do the normal going through the code drills, and I keep doing it at least once or two times a week. And I also do like simple jockeying and the zigzags. All those is for speed and agility, and even some simple testing stuff that I do, like the T drills and stuff like that. You could go on YouTube and gather some information about that. You know,
Someone is asking, at what level do you start getting paid?
you gotta go pro. That's the level you start to get paid when you go pro.
You're currently playing with a college, but I know you also played with the national team. Somebody is asking, what were the challenges you faced playing with both professional and with your college?
Okay, so when I was when I was playing in with my national team, I faced the challenge of I was always the when I played with the national team, only time I was the oldest person in the national team was when I was U15 under 15. But after then, I was always the youngest in the team, and I always fight up for to try to get a spot on the roster, you know. And I would face the challenges of self-doubt that I could really do this. And um, for instance, like I was called up to the senior team program from the age of 15, 16, around there. My first call up. I was nervous. I was like, they sure about this? And when they called me, I was like in shock. So I was like, okay. But then something happened in my life. My grandmom passed away, and I was in a despair. I couldn't function. I self-doubt started creeping even more. And I'm happy I had my family and friends there for me. And it was like a sad time in my life. And I end up not making the roster the first time I went to the senior team. But after then, I came back each time, and I said I'm very resilient in what I do. I never give up. And then I end up making the roster the other time around, and that's how it went for me.
Very nice. What recommendations would you have for local clubs in improving female football
Female
or
football.
teenage girls football?
What I so like now I know it has the Wolf League, and I know it's not active because of the situation. But what I think needs to happen, I know it has like two divisions and stuff like that. It has first division, I think, and premier, something along those lines. What I think should happen is should have like how Europe has it. They have like age groups. They have like age groups that they have. So they have it categorized from like you have U15 like thing, and then have a U17. And I know Trinidad is a really small place, so you can't really bracket it off that well. But what I think they should invest in a young like two programs that like one is U17, so you can have the youths grow in their age group, and have one for the older girls that could that who played in the national team and who played after high school and stuff like that.
How did you make the transition to start beginning to play with a pro team with the national team? Were you scouted? Did you go to tryouts? How did that begin?
For, um, for the national team, I was already kind of in the system from the U15 level, so they kind of knew me and how I played and stuff like that. And the team that I played with here in WPSL called Pensacola FC. They only that's a amateur league, like, but it's a semi-pro. We call it semi-pro. A lot of college players go in there. It's a summertime league, and you go there to keep sharp and keep fit and stuff like that. That's for females who want to keep active during the summer. And for males, it have the USL 2, I think, for when you over, let's say you over here and you on a summer break and you don't want to go back home, you could go in one of those leagues and you could think. But sometimes is you send your footage to people. So for professionally at the moment, I'm aspiring to play pro, and what I do, I send up my videos to who are like different people, and they stretch it, or you could even get an agent that could help you with that. That's when you come out of college, and it's just dependent on what the team's looking for and what you have to offer.
You have a brilliant question here. What do you think about when you don't make your goal? What types of thoughts help you to be resilient in times of failure or in challenging times?
I know right now a lot of people are in challenging times now because of the situation. You probably have no soccer to play and all this stuff. I remember my why, and my why is my family, where I come from, right? And I always like the person who introduced me to the sport, my grandma. I always remember her, and I just keep going. Like you gotta find your why. Once you find your why, you will continue moving. I promise you. So if you guys, I think about my why, and that's how I continue. But what advice I would give to you all is try not to stop. If you really love it and you really want to continue it, and you want to reach far with it, don't stop. Keep going and find your why.
Great answer. If you're unable to obtain any footage at all, is there any other way in which you can play for college football or university football, soccer?
It's just dependent on like it's just dependent on what the coaches want at the moment. So let's say you don't have any footage and you can't find any, and let's say the coach like you get on a call with a coach, you basically have to plead your case somehow. But majority of the time they need to see footage because they need to know what they're getting is the truth. So if you don't have any footage, I advise you, if you whenever leagues start back or in Trinidad or whenever secondary school start back, um, try to get as much footage as you can. Like you need footage, and you need like multiple game of footage, and you could put it in like a 5 minute reel or something like that.
Thank you. I think Anthony, when he comes back on, Coach Roy, he will speak more on the requirements of the coaches and stuff. He could answer that question for them as well. Yeah, because they spoke about it in two Saturdays ago when we hosted one of our seminars. Any other questions for Ms. GUERRA? When you play in the amateur leagues during the off season, Do you get any problems with your school?
Not no, you don't really get problems because okay, your school ends in May and the amateur leagues are in summertime. So these like the amateur leagues runs from mid-May to the ending of July. And your school starts back probably at the beginning of August, let's say August 1st or August 2nd. It doesn't clash in any way. It doesn't clash. From what I know, from my experience, it doesn't clash at all because it's a summertime league and schools out at summertime.
Will there be any walk-on trials at the colleges and universities?
So there's people who come as walk-ons, but you gotta pay your way through first, and that's typically what some people in the US do. They enter the school, so they apply for the school, and they go to the school like normal, like just based off of academics and stuff like that, and then they try to go on as a walk-on, but you gotta relate that information with the coach. You gotta ask the coach if he allows walk-ons. That's another thing. So it could be possible, but that's a long stretch for somebody who's international. Typically, people who do it is people who from the United States.
Ms. Juki is just saying thank you for the information. It's great information. Thank you for your honesty. Very motivational, and she appreciates it very much. Someone is asking, what position do you play on the field?
Oh, I play a holding midfield, defensive midfield, and center back. But when I was younger, a bit younger, a lot of coaches had me play attacking midfield, like a number 8, attacking midfielder, box to box midfielder, and yeah, like a number 8, yeah. But now I play number 6, holding midfielder, and a center back.
What I think we spoke to this question already, but I'll ask it again. What was the transition like from college football to professional football?
Right now, I'm in the waiting game. So at the moment, I'm waiting on my stuff to be sent out, and hopefully, by the grace of the Almighty, that I do get through to play. But with professionally, it's obviously I'm more intense. It's higher pace game. I even went to trials the other day, and I could see the difference. And typically, it's just a change of speed of play, and you got to put in more work into your craft because that's basically your job then. You know, you got no more school, you just got to focus on the game.
Do you get any form of biases towards you when you play on the field or train, when you're at matches or when you're in training?
I wouldn't say I got any biases against me, but when I was playing up majority of the time in national team, obviously you're young, you gotta take as much information as possible. Like when I was on the bench, I would try to grasp as much information as possible. I know players, and you get put on the bench, it's like a dismay as to why this happening, but to me it's like a learning experience, and I don't really see any bias in it. I try to get as good as I can in any situation, and I learn as much as I can. So I don't think I wouldn't say I see any.
Just at the people complimenting you here, Ms. Cooper saying great information. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. GUERRA. Very eloquent and down to you. Thanks for sharing your experience and knowledge.
No problem. That's great.
So yeah, everybody's just complimenting you now, saying great job. So I guess they appreciated all the information that you shared, and I just want to extend thanks on behalf of the 411 scholarship team for coming and presenting to us today on short notice. We thank you very much for your time and wish you all the best in your future endeavors in the field of football and soccer, and just looking out for you to see great things.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Anthony.
Yeah, I'm a coach from Indiana. Thank you guys so much for the information. You are a true professional in your own rights. You're a true professional. You're really flying the red, white, and black really high. And we thank you so much for the information, a wealth of information. We are looking forward to great and wonderful things from you. I would just like to throw in here, though, that I am working with her to get her in Europe. It's very close. I don't like to give out information, but it's very close for her to head out to Europe pretty soon. So we are working on it on the back end with me and my team to get her out there and a number of other kids. As we continue, I want to thank you so much for you guys being with us today and the information that was shared, and also, you know, the questions, very pertinent questions, you know, good questions that really needs to be asked and get that kind of answers. And I would say to you, the answers that came, you know, was just fabulous, as they were on point to answer your questions, to encourage you. We know that you are being tried right now in the sense of your videos. How do you get these videos organized? Knowing what is happening with the COVID-19, how do you get this organized? How do you put this together? And we know you're being tried in that area. As I advise a number of kids, you know, if you could go out to the recreation field by yourself, set up some exercise and get the person to tape what you're doing. Close-up shots on your feet, dribbling, turning, speed, you know, and use that footage along with some of the footage you have in the games. You need to get some good recommendations. If you played with your country, you know, get some good recommendations. I know the coaches in colleges, you know, will understand too, because there's a lot of them right now are logged in here right now. And I'm getting notes from a lot of coaches who are coaching in colleges, universities right now. They're sending me notes right now. So you know, think outside the box. You gotta think outside the box. Everyone understands what is taking place right now around the world. So you gotta think outside the box. And once again, to our main speaker, thank you so kindly for gracing us with your presence. And thank you so much for the information you shared with us and coming on the program last minute because of Coach Russ. And let me apologize to those of you who are coming to the program a little bit late. Coach Russ contacted me early on, just before the show, and he said to me, Coach Anthony, it's not looking good. I'm not doing too well. We are heading right now to the medical facilities. And knowing Coach Russ, we were speaking during the week. He was really just pumped to be here. He was sending information to me, and he was pumped. He was looking forward to being here. And we are hoping that it's just a normal flu and nothing else. So keep him in your prayers.